All right. Good evening, everyone. For me, I believe it's good afternoon for Tisha here. But Dave Wilson of Results Staffing, and I'll tell you, first of all, before I announce Tisha Marie Pelletier, I got to tell you, you will always be remembered in my book because you're the only person that has 8 pages that I printed out on LinkedIn.
Hey, so I'm memorable. So
wow.
That's good news.
No, I was like we talked before, I'm like, it kept printing over and over and over, but it's all good on that part. But Tisha, I know what stood out about me is how you're really for the entrepreneurs, and I want you to talk about yourself, but I don't care, I'm going to say it, authentic with a touch of badass. I help entrepreneurs get started and level up their brand. So, if you want to introduce yourself and just tell us what you do.
Sure. Well, thanks, first of all, David, for having me on. I loved your little video intro. That's definitely a standout piece in my book. But I've been a business owner since 2004, and I've started several different businesses. I pivoted a lot. I share a lot of those stories in my books and even in my postings if people are following me. And I really do love helping the next person succeed. So a lot of them are startups, and those are people that I'm like, I was a startup. I know what it was like to be in the trenches, and I know what it feels like to keep going and moving forward and reach that goal too. So it's an incredible feeling.
Just dig it in, because that's why when I read all 8 pages, you really hit a spot with me, because let me tell you, and I told you my story, when you start up, whether you've been in the business all the time or not, those hours and those dark days, that's what I like how you said, is very difficult, because then in 30 minutes later, it comes back. You switch, you're happy, and then you're like, why am I doing this? Waiting for that yes moment. Well, first of all, I forgot to say Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm in PA.
Yes.
What is Phoenix, Arizona besides the Cardinals?
Well, we don't have snow, so there's a bonus. We have wine country up north.
Okay.
And I love sunshine. Like, I could never live in a city that rains every day. I love to be in the sun versus the cold. And we have AC and pools, and that's really all you need, right?
You don't have grass, right? There's no grass or trees, right?
We have turf to keep it green. Yes. It's if you like the desert scenery, then it's quite beautiful. But if you like more 4 seasons, then the good thing is, though, David, like we've got up north, and you could go down south, and it's not far to get to those 4 seasons if you need it.
All the way through. Hey, I wanted to touch bases. I still get your rule of lessons.
Yes.
I believe, what number are you up to? Because I stopped at 106. I know there's got to be more, right?
So I just released 107 this week, and 108 will be coming next Monday. So every single Monday, I release a new rule of life lesson, and it's a video lesson combined with a story. And the reason is, you mentioned, like, I'm an author. I wanted to continue my story, and I was wondering, well, how am I going to keep this legacy alive for my kids so that they will always be able to find me? Even if I leave this planet, they will always have those lessons. Right. And I can also teach other people who were learning about my story. And so when my book ended in 2018, I made it my mission of, I don't want to write another book. It's hard to write a book, but this takes it in bite-sized chunks, and I'm able to do it at my own pace and keep myself accountable. So that every Monday, unless I'm traveling, there is a rule of life lesson coming out.
And what I like about it is what I've watched is you gear it towards yourself then, exactly, a story. It's not like you're just saying, listen, we can all say the quotes. You can say the quotes to the end of the day. I like that. But I like when you said the story. And you gear it towards, it seems a lot about yourself. Is that just me? Or a lot of your stories, it's about your life?
It is. It's very much about the life journey. Definitely.
Right, all the way through. So the next question is, what do you do for the entrepreneurs for a living? Like, if I was brand new starting out, I know you said you offer like a 30-minute offering. Take me through the steps. What do you say to people?
Sure. So I always offer a strategy session, no matter what. It's no matter if you're a startup or you're established, because I find that even established entrepreneurs can get stuck. We all get stuck, and sometimes we just need fresh perspective. We need someone that is not invested in our business to say, I'm going to bet that you haven't thought about this and maybe we need to try this direction, or have you tried this and how did it work for you? So it's always good to be able to get someone else that's outside of your business looking in. And for startups, right? For startups, I always ask the question, how excited are you excited about this business, and are you invested in your business? Because if you're not, we have a problem. Because if I'm more invested in your business than you are, we definitely have a problem. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of, is this a hobby for you, or are you willing to just give it your all and work and grind and get there? Like you probably saw the post I just did was about working in the trenches. So many of us will be in the trenches for a long time without knowing when we level up or we change the path. And I want to be able to instill hope that, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and you just got to keep going with it. So definitely more of that inspirational cheerleader type. Yes. But as far as startups, I do have a Startup Entrepreneur Academy. It's an online course, but they also get mentoring with me too, because I find that a lot of different online courses, you get the course, you get the lifetime access, you maybe get a group with it, but you don't really get the one-on-one interaction. And I think that when you're starting a business, that's really important to have someone that can get you out of the stuck. And then
what I've noticed is that person comes in, and even whether it's a colleague, if I'm taking a walk, is it kind of brings me right back, focuses, because sometimes I go all over the place. And then when I talk to somebody, it brings it right back, and then like, okay, focus. You know, and like you said, that outside person might hear me like, Dave, slow down, it's okay, you know, and bring you back to that point of breathing.
Right.
You know?
And, you know, honestly, I have been there where friends of mine have said, geez, what is she thinking? Like, she is all over the place. She's got to focus. And I even have people say that about me now. And I'm like, I actually am very focused now. Like, you should have seen me a couple years ago. I was all over the place. But now it's gotten a lot better.
That's me. And when I really look at the person, and when I have somebody on for myself, and words to you that you put out, you even said that you want to be known. Is your message getting across? Well, it got across to me, because when I see, I'm going to say it, you know, you put 110% effort into it. You never give up. Reputation means a lot to you. And that's why I've called my company Results. I'll get back to that in a minute. You're a night owl. You enjoy working late nights. You love to smoke local small businesses, and you love your energetic fun and a touch of badass. I love it. You know, it resonates with me, I guess, and a lot of other business people that are starting up, because you could work all your life, and then when you try to do that business of your own, let me tell you, that night owl, you're going to get me going there, because it's like,
it's a lot of sleepless nights. It's a lot of ideas churning in your head, because you're so excited because it's yours. It's your baby, and you want to see it through, and you want to get to the next level. And so you will pour your heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears into running that business if you are fully invested in making it happen for you.
That's what I said. I think when people say the word passion, I found what I'm going to say, I don't care, I'm 53, but when you find your passion and you enjoy what you do, I do not, you know, startups, like you said, you can crash. What is it? My favorite saying is, I don't care. I'll work at Amazon at night shift if something happens to where before I give this thing up, because it will not fail. I keep saying it. It will not fail, you know, because you have to think that way, you know. So what do you do? Do you do branding with it, or what do you talk about when you talk to an entrepreneur? Is it just to focus them or brand them also?
It really depends on, you know, the entrepreneur, what they're needing help with. I find that startups, they're really just trying to lay the foundation for their business so they can take their idea and actually start moving it, right? And they want to legitimize their business. They want to start moving it. How do they brand it? So we do talk on branding, but I do have a lot of clients who I do a lot more personal brand strategy. In fact, personal brand building. I have a personal brand toolkit where I don't just want to give someone the blueprint. Like, I would never come to you, David, and say, here's the blueprint. This is what you need to do. Have fun with that. catch me back in a year. Like, I love being in the trenches with people, honestly, because I want to see you move, and I want to see that creative process, and I want you to be involved in it, and I want you to ask questions if you're lost, because it's no fun being stuck in a lost place. No fun.
No, and it isn't.
Yeah.
Nope. So and what do? You hold them accountable when you teach?
I do. I do. Yes, I do. And that's such an important part, because if I told you, hey, I'll see you in a year, here's the plan, go to it, I bet you wouldn't do it, because you would be lost, confused. You don't know the resources. You don't know who to trust. You might have been burned. Like, there's a lot of things that prevent people from starting or moving forward. And I'm like, I want to be there with you every step of the way. Like, that's what I want to do, because your success becomes my success. When we work together, we're so much better off.
And that's why when you said that, what sets you apart, I would say, like, I'm not kidding everybody. When I say that she is, I'm sorry. When I say that this is all she's done all of her career, she's not joking, because I gave up at page 7. And you do. You seem like you are so geared toward that entrepreneurship. I mean, that's all you've done.
For the last 16 years. Yeah, it's definitely been a big part of my life, but it hasn't meant that I've succeeded at everything. I've failed. I've been burned. Like, I've had partnerships go south. Like, I have all of those stories and that knowledge that I can pass on to someone who's like, I'm just starting. What can you teach me? So to me, that's the greatest experience. The greatest teacher is what I've already been through. And that's why, like, the rule of life lessons are so important for me to write, because I'm like, I'm going to share with my experience how I leveled up. I'm going to share what I learned when I thought that I needed to go back and get the 9-to-5 job. Like, and just based on what you said just a few minutes ago about, I will go get that Amazon night job if it means I can keep my business. I was there just a couple years ago. And I was like, I need to get out of here, but I know this is a sacrifice I need to make in order to get to the level that I want. And it's okay. Like, it's just be patient and persevere.
Now, do you when somebody signs up for your courses, like, is it like weekly that you reach out to them, or how does that work?
So it is an online course. It's a 13-week module. So they take it at their own pace, which is great for someone who's still working a full-time job. And then they have the option to schedule strategy sessions with me. So they have 3 30-minute sessions with me. They can book them anytime. There's a reason I don't do big group coaching calls, because I can't give individual attention, and people are in different stages in their business. So I like being able to offer that to them. And if they need additional mentoring, then I'm happy to do that as well. But I want them to know that I didn't just abandon them once they hit the shopping cart and push buy. Like, and that I am here.
Right. It's like, that you can trust someone. Trust.
Right. And then I think they see that I'm also walking the talk in my own business and in my own life. So I feel like I'm always leading by example, that, I've been there, I'm steps ahead of you, but I've been there too. And I can definitely share from that experience.
And that's what I like about you in that part. And the next part, that's what I liked about this thing is, when you did the Gal's Inspiration Guide to Purpose in Life, what are the odds? How you said a mom shares her good, bad, and I'm not going to say the word, moments in life. I don't know if I'll get picked off a LinkedIn Live. Yeah, but your own personal journey, and I talked to you prior to this about why I've started my own business. Besides the one bad boss in 84 days, who's counting? My non-compete side. So 84 days, this is to my prior company. Who's counting? I'm back. But my son is why that had part of leaving, because the corporate world, I don't care. Just a lot of hours, and you want to spend time with my son. I wanted to, and I didn't want to. I learned from my daughter. She's 29. I have a 10-year-old. So I learned my first time. I didn't want to do that again with him.
Right.
So I like how you said that. Is you had an opportunity where you said you were down. You almost went back to work, right?
I did.
What changed your mind?
Well, honestly, for me, I was working a part-time job, and I felt like my only way to get out of that crappy part-time job was to go get the full-time job. And as I started thinking about it, and I wrote a rule of life lesson about it, about the sacrifices we make, that I went to my daughter, who I think was 6 or 7 at the time, and I said, Ellie, what if mommy gets this job? And this job was working at my alma mater. It was working for a university. And I said, how would you feel if I get this job? And she was so honest, so innocent. And she said, Mommy, I'd be happy for you because it would remove some of those stresses. Like, she's very intuitive, you know, like adult in a young girl's body. And then, but she said, but I'd also be sad because it means we wouldn't see you anymore. And that was like, hey, and honestly, it brought me back to the why. Why in the heck did I start a business? Because I wanted to have my kids in my life. I wanted to be there for every moment and not make excuses as to why I couldn't. And that brought me back to, you know what? I don't need the job. I'm just going to keep hustling and figure it out. And I am. Like, now I'm like, what job?
Right. And that's when I wasn't sure when I read, again, your 8 pages. My emotions were going up and down. I'm like, oh my God, I was depressed, then I'm happy. Now I'm depressed, then I'm happy. And I was like, I did. I went upstairs to take a break. And I said, I got to come downstairs and write notes for this, because I was like, holy crow. But that's where I told you about the same thing is I like to be able to make my own decisions and reputation to myself. And I'm going to ask you a question that I've asked a lot of people. As an entrepreneur, startup, anything, do you feel being straight up honest, or you can tell a sales, you can tell some of the difference? What is your feeling on that towards, like, I look at you and the way you talk, I don't see you saying, hey, come here, you know, like those YouTube things. Hey, you want to make $20,000? You know, what do you feel about that? How do you market yourself, I should say?
You know, I think it's what you said in the beginning. And that's why I keep my headline the way it is, because I was gifted that from a guest in my audience when I spoke. And I'm like, oh, is that what you gathered from listening to me speak? And she said, yes. And I said, I am keeping it. I'm using it everywhere. And in fact, today I just had a woman who's like, oh my gosh, love the headline, love the headline. And it's true, because when we figure out, like, what is that core value? And for me, that is be as authentic as I can be honest, don't sugarcoat, just be honest. Right. More and more opportunities have come my way. More amazing people have come my way because I am being authentically me. There's no bait and switch model. I'm not trying to sell you. It really is like building the trust and the rapport and the relationship, and then the rest will follow. And it has always done that. It's always been that way.
Now, have you seen it, and you've been doing this, say you've been LinkedIn, you've been doing a lot. Do you get returning customers? I mean, you've done this for so long that people trust you. They've known you, they recommend you. I got to keep telling people, it's just like LinkedIn Live with myself right now. Every time it gets busy. I mean, better and better. You learn. You know, yes. I wish I could look back and say some of the things, all the money, and oh my God. I don't even want to go there, because you have nobody else to blame. There's nobody to blame but yourself. I call it my F moment, because F him, because it's me. You know, that's why I've tried to, I still like LinkedIn, because I get to meet people like yourself all around the States. And that's how I've become better right now, because I think you can learn a lot by looking at yourself or somebody, whether they're honest, trustworthy. That might be me, but that's where I can see the difference in people. I'd be like, no, that's a typical sales. I'll hang up on them. Like, you're just trying to sell me something.
Oh, I agree. I had one gentleman who wanted to do some podcast promotion for me, and I wasn't answering him. He's like, why aren't you answering me? And he's like, this is my price. Can I do it now? And I'm like, what are you talking about? We haven't even talked about this. And he's like, I'm dropping my price. How about now? And I was like, oh, remove. Because I'm like, is that really how you approach people? Because that's not okay in my book. Like, I would never do that.
No, 1 second, because you know what just popped up on my screen?
What's that?
It says battery running low. Watch this. 10 seconds. I got to plug my right here. All right, so that was a first. There we go. Now I don't want to. Now I don't have power with it. So sorry about that, everybody. But one more question for you is, what have you learned in your business through, I know what I have, and I don't like this. I saved it for last because I'm trying to say COVID, it's behind us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't start out because I don't like to start out saying, how does it approach you? Because it disappoints me. Because with staffing, listen, everybody says, oh, you're going to make a killing. Don't worry about it. It's going to come to you. And I'm like, you know what? Try it. Because you have to sell right now, building your brand, coming up with a plan, step by step. And then this happened, you know, so I believe it makes you stronger. You said a couple of times there, it does harden you to a core, you know? So what do you tell people? How has it affected yourself and approach, and what are you doing about it?
You know, I was sharing with you earlier on, David, before we jumped on, that my business was so heavily tied to speaking engagements and professional speaking engagements and live events. And so overnight, all of that vanished. And I could sit here and I could sulk about it, or I could say, well, what's next? How am I going to get back up? Because I don't have a choice. Right. And I think that when you are that type that you just brush yourself off and then get back up, you will figure it out and realize that you're in control of your destiny, even though the world around you is in whatever state it's in. Like, you can control what you can control. You can control your attitude, your happiness, your destiny, your life, what you want for it. But you've got to get creative. So I've always said to people, like, here's like my little, you know, my mantra, but you know, that complacency kills creativity. So if you're going to stay complacent, you're going to stay in your stuck zone, then just stay there, right? But I think a lot of us are tired of that, and we will move. We will start to adapt and bounce back because we don't want to be in the stuck space anymore. We already shared that it's a horrible place to be. So that's my advice is take it for what it's worth. We're all in the same boat. We've all had to experience some, you know, discomfort because of what's been happening, but we can turn that story around. I mean, so one of the things that I wanted to share real quickly is you probably saw, David, that I'm giving a grant, a startup business grant, because I love startups.
Yes.
And so you probably saw that my birthday is September 15th, which is tax day. So every year I pay taxes on my birthday. And it's not a great feeling. It's not a great feeling to cut a check to Uncle Sam on your birthday. But today, this year, I was like, I'm going to do it different. I'm actually going to give that money to another deserving entrepreneur to help them start. And I've made it an annual mission of every September 15th, every year on my birthday, I'm just giving the money and doing the grant. And it's, and you know, it is, the amazing part is that it's something that I get to get excited about on my birthday, of giving it back and paying it forward. But, you know, I'm changing the story of, I don't want to do this negative thing. I want to make it a positive experience for some other person and help them get going.
No, I don't blame you. And that's well said. I mean, when I saw that, I think it was the 500, I was like, wow, I said, I didn't know where you were going with it first. And I was like, that is, you know, if entrepreneurs, again, that's why I go back to your 8 pages. You know what you're talking about there. You know, this isn't just something you decided to do last year. That's what I like about it. So you understand when I sit there, I get all anxious because it's a lot. It's a lot to take on. You know, after this, I go for my hour walk and listen to AC/DC. I don't know if that's good or not, you know, but it kind of gets you back to that ground. You know, looking forward to tomorrow, like I told you, 2 new interns free from the state. They need to graduate. They're here. We're having fun. We have music, and they're really doing. They've never done sales. They've never done. Well, Jenny wants to do HR. She's doing the handbooks, everything with legal laws in Pennsylvania. So I mean, like, would that have ever happened? No. Like that. So now the school is going to give me all the time. I'm like, oh yeah. You know, so I'm happy about that, and it keeps me going during the day because it holds me accountable. I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, they're asking questions. Wow, it worked out, and the creativity that these two have. Wow, I listen. I got nothing to lose. They look at me and they're like, I'll say, just do it. You know, and it is, and I'm happy with that. But I want to thank you a lot. I enjoyed talking with you. We didn't do too bad, 25 minutes. So,
Yeah, not bad.
your time. And how does everybody get a hold of you? And I'll put it on the comments too when we get off.
Sure. The best way is really just to go to my website, and that's tishaMarie.com. So I'm not even going to make you put the last name in, but tishaMarie.com, and that's where you can get the book you mentioned, David.
Okay.
So The Gal's Inspirational Guide to a More Purposeful Life. And those are closing thoughts. They're just quotes, words of wisdom. You can also go to that page and you'll see the Rule of Life lessons and all the blogs and just everything. There's a whole bunch of stuff on that website, including my Success Over Struggle podcast episodes.
Yeah, how do you like doing the pod? I know I'm going to talk forever. I'll get off here, but what do you like about podcasts? I mean, what do you get out of that? Is it the recorded show, or what do you see the value?
I think for me, it goes deeper than I just have a podcast, because when I started Success Over Struggle, it is part of my Social Connect Phoenix, which is a live event that I host. And the panel was a chance for me to interview leaders and entrepreneurs in the community live in front of an audience. And the thing is, it's a 30-minute panel. So I really love to be able to dive in like 10 minutes per person is not enough. So I wanted to extend the interview, dive in deeper, and really shine who they are and have a great conversation while building up the community. So that when you meet these people, they've already been on my podcast, and now you really get a sense of who they are, and they're being as authentic as they can be. They're telling their story, their obstacles, their struggles, and so on. So for me, my podcast is not everybody in the masses gets to be on it. It's people in Arizona, because I'm trying to build community in Arizona through a live event.
Okay. Oh, so you're utilizing, because people have said to me you're doing podcasts, and I'm like, listen, between Instagram, now the girls want to do that TikTok thing or Snapchat. I don't know. I'm like, you know what, girls, go for it. If you want to do something on Friday like that, if it's going to work, try it, do your dance. But I'm like, listen, I don't even know. Right now, I don't need a podcast because I've learned YouTube. I like the YouTube channel. Do I use it today to subscribe here? No. I like right now utilizing for the links. Then I can send, and send it out to people right now. Later on, maybe I'll get that little bell that says whatever. I don't know how they do that,
Yeah, subscribe.
Subscribe, whatever, all that stuff. But because there's so much out there to choose from.
Right.
Every time you turn around with somebody.
And I think, honestly, David, people are choosing podcasts or like this, a live stream, which in a way is like a podcast, because this is recorded. It's streaming to different platforms, including YouTube, let's say. So your content is being delivered there, and you can still break this up and take snippets and edit it. And, it's to me, it's still good stuff. So,
well, that's what Tuvia, this one gentleman told me. He said, it's not as much as what we're talking about here, but it's about what you do after with that.
Yep.
Edit it, snip it down, use those little clips, and those little clips will really take the content out of here, cut it down small,
Right.
And there are the things, again, you learn, everybody says, you go on and on sometimes by yourself. And I'm like, don't watch it. It's simple. Don't watch it, turn it off, but no, again, I want to thank you, and I look forward to even working with you, because one more, I'm sorry. Do you handle, I know you said not just Arizona, but all around, right? On the West Coast, anybody can reach out to you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, especially for startups. This is a program that could be global. Like, people wanted to tune in from different countries. They could absolutely do it, because the principles are still the same on building your foundation. And then as far as personal branding, I love being able to offer the toolkit. And yes, there are some in-person aspects to it, but a lot of that can be done virtually. The only thing that's really in person is the video and the photo shoots. But you could get that done where you live, All
right, and then the last one, see, in your 8 pages again, everybody. I'm sorry. But when and I'll let you go here, but I wanted to say your services. When you say, I look at marketing consulting, event planning, project management, public relations, copywriting, media buying, branding, website, SEO, social media, graphic design, is that what some of it includes to your program, or is it just something different from that?
No, it includes a lot of that. a lot of everything you've mentioned. I feel like I'm pretty well versed in quite a few different areas, including because I run an event management company, I run a marketing company, I'm doing a lot of personal branding and speaking. So if someone comes to me with, do you have that expertise? Yeah, I can help you with that too, because I've been there, I've done it, I've started it, I've created it. And, you know, and so that's, you know, it's good. It's good to have a repertoire of services that you offer and that you're well versed in.
You can tell I did my homework. Well, on that note, everybody, thanks Tisha so much. And for all those, again, this is a show. If you want to save paper and save the earth or trees, don't push print for the PDF on LinkedIn, because all these trees right here, I always like having fun, and the touch of badass, I'm going to remember it forever. So Tisha, thank you so much. And I'm going to end it, and we're going to make sure we end. And here we go. Not yet. Yes.